One of the biggest misconceptions about transformation work is that learning a few techniques is enough to help someone to change. It isn't. And most people don't realize that until they try to help someone. Because the moment that someone sits across from you and begins sharing something deeply personal, the stakes change. They might be talking about a relationship that is falling apart, a pattern that they've been repeating for years, a belief about themselves that quietly shapes every decision they make. And suddenly, the conversation is no longer theoretical, it's real. At that moment, something becomes very clear. Understanding ideas about change is one thing. Being able to guide someone else through it is something completely different. And that distinction is where many people reach a crossroads. Because curiosity about human behaviour is incredibly common. As we know, people read books, they listen to podcasts, they explore different frameworks for understanding mindset and behaviour. And those things can be powerful. They expand awareness. They introduce new perspectives. They help people to understand themselves differently. But eventually, people discover something surprising. Insight alone does not always create change. Someone can understand a pattern perfectly and still find themselves repeating it. Why? Because behaviour doesn't change simply because we understand it. Change occurs when the deepest structure behind behaviour begins to shift. And guiding that kind of change requires skill. It requires training. It requires understanding how transformation actually occurs. The difference between curiosity and and this is where the difference between curiosity and capability becomes important. Because meaningful change work is not mechanical. It's not about applying a technique and expecting the same outcome every time. Every person brings a different internal model of the world, different meanings, different experiences, different emotional structures, which means that facilitating change requires the ability to understand what is happening in real time, not just what someone is saying, but how they are organising their experience internally. Two practitioners can learn the exact same technique. They can follow the same steps, and one will produce profound results while the other will struggle. The difference is rarely method. It's the understanding behind it. Because techniques are tools, but tools without understanding can easily be misapplied. And this is why serious practitioner training exists, not simply to teach techniques, but to develop capability. Capability means learning how to recognize what is happening during the session, learning how to guide someone through a shift without destabilizing them, learning how to create the conditions in which transformation is possible. And that level of capability develops through experience, through practice, through supervision. Because facilitating change responsibly is a professional skill. Think about any other profession that influences people's lives. Medicine, psychology, therapy, coaching. No one becomes competent in any of those fields simply by reading about them. They develop skill through training environments where they practice, receive feedback, and gradually build the capability to work safely with others. Transformation work is no different. which is why structured training pathways exist. For many people who are curious about behavioural change, the first step is simply to experience the work for themselves. And this is why many of our students start with Step Into Your Power. It's a 2-day experiential program designed to give participants direct exposure to the types of processes used in transformation work. People don't just learn about change, they see it happen. They experience it. And for many participants, that becomes the moment when the work shifts from being an interesting idea into something very real. From there, some people become curious about learning the methods themselves. And this is where the applied 3-day modern hypnosis introduces practical frameworks for working with behavioural change. Participants learn structured approaches that can be applied in such areas as habit change, confidence, anxiety, performance, and behavioural patterns. But techniques alone are only the beginning. For those who want to develop practitioner-level capability, the journey continues into deeper training. Programs such as the Mind and Soul Alignment Incubator focus on understanding the structures behind transformation. Participants learn how identity-level patterns form, how emotional meaning is organised, how different change modalities interact, and how practitioners can guide transformation responsibly. Because at the highest level, transformation is not about techniques. It's about understanding people, understanding experience, understanding how meaning forms, and learning how to guide change with precision. For people who feel genuinely drawn to this work, that journey becomes one of the most meaningful paths they can pursue, because understanding behaviour is fascinating, but developing the capability to help people transform their lives is something else entirely. And that distinction is what turns curiosity into capability.